lead your champion to victory in combat. Choose your champion wisely or just pick your favorite across genres and history to race above the fray.
Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Meeple University on the Dice Tower for How to Play video series.
In this video, we'll teach you Fray, Champions of the Everyverse, game designed by Jackie D. Hollis III and Matt Weymouth and published by Brain Sandwich Games. We're using a prototype copy of the game, and so the rules and components you see here may not be final.
Let's get to the table.
Fray, Champions of the Everyverse is an arena-style skirmish game for 2 players or 2 teams. Each player or team controls between 1 and 3 champions who will chase each other around the map and engage each other in combat. The skirmish will continue until only one player's champions remain and that player will win the game. To set up the game, first decide how long a game you're going to play. For a short game, each player will control only 1 hero, for a medium game 2, and for a long game 3. Each player rolls a die, and then draft champions back and forward, starting with the player who rolled high, until each player has the correct number. Players place their champion mats on the gold side if they're playing with 1 champion each, or on the red side otherwise. Players take their characters' minis, they're standees in this prototype copy but will be minis in the final version, and each champion takes a d20 set to 20, which represents the current number of hit points. Each player then chooses one of the 4 deployment zones and places all champions into that zone, and the loot token is placed into the very middle of the board. Finally, shuffle up the item deck. In each player's first item phase, which will be during the first round of the game, each player will draw 1 item card per champion. This isn't strictly part of setup, but it does happen in the first round of the game. You're now ready to play. Fray is played in a series of rounds, and each round has the following phases. First, the initiative phase, in which players will roll to see who goes first in this round. Then, the player who has initiative will have the items phase, where item cards can be played on any of that character's champions. Then, the champions phase, in which the player will activate each of their champions in whichever order is desired. After the player with initiative is finished, the player who is second in the turn does the same, having first an item phase and then a champion phase. After that's finished, any player who has champions near the loot card gets to enjoy the loot phase, gaining an item before the loot token moves. Play then goes to the next round, where a new initiative phase is commenced. Play will continue in this manner until one player has completely killed all of the opponent's champions. So now let's look at each phase in detail. Each round begins with the initiative phase, where the players will roll to see who goes first. However, before rolling, each player simultaneously chooses 1 champion to be the leader for this round. A player may also choose not to elect a leader for the round. A player may not choose the same champion to be leader in consecutive rounds, even if that player is down to a single champion. And this is where a player may need to choose no leader in a given round. Each champion has an initiative bonus, and the leader's initiative bonus will be added to your initiative roll for this round. Once players have chosen their leaders, each player rolls a 6-sided die and then adds the initiative bonus from the chosen leader. Whoever rolls higher, including the bonus, will go first in this round. In the event of a tie, players will roll again, once again applying the initiative bonus until the tie is broken. Then you will proceed to that player's turn. The first step of the active player's turn is the item phase, where item cards may be played from hand. There are 2 types of item cards, those with the instant keyword and those without. Only those without must be played in the item phase. Any cards that do have the instant keyword can be played at any time. So, for the item phase, the player plays as many non-instant items as desired onto champions. Then the player moves to the champion phase. Each of the player's champions will act once during the champion phase, and this may be in any order. You do not have to start with the one you designated the leader in the initiative phase. Each champion's activation is broken into the following steps, the first of which is to roll the 3 battle dice. These dice have 3 different icons, the axe which is on 3 sides, the shield which is on 2, and a boot which is on 1. The icons on the dice, plus any icons on tokens left over from previous rounds, which we'll talk about later, represent all of the icons that champion has available to spend on actions this round. This will be between 3 and 5 icons. The next phase after rolling the dice is for that champion to move. The champion may move up to as many spaces as shown on the move stat. Here it's 4. A step of movement may be orthogonal or diagonal and may not enter another champion space, whether friendly or enemy, or into the space of the loot token. A champion may spend 1 or more boot icons, whether dice or tokens, in order to move 1 additional space per boot. After moving, the champion chooses 1 attacking or defending action to take for the round. This requires spending axes, shields, or a combination. The options are: spend 1 axe icon to make a conventional attack, or spend 1 shield icon to increase the save number by 1 until the start of that champion's next turn, or spend a combination of icons that matches one of that champion's special abilities. Spend all of those icons and then resolve that ability. Most of these will represent some sort of more powerful attack. Once again, the champion is only allowed to resolve 1 of these effects, even if that champion has enough icons to perform more than 1. So now let's look at how attack works. There are 3 types of attack in the game. Melee, which can only be done against an adjacent enemy. Short range, which can be up to a distance of 3. And long range, which is up to a distance of 5. Distances are counted in any mix of orthogonal and diagonal steps, and line of sight is not blocked by the loot or other characters. Different champions have different types of attacks they can make, and this should be either on the card or in the rulebook. Brint, for example, cannot fight melee, but can fight either short or long range. This doesn't stop Brint from attacking a character at a range of 1, it just means that will be declared as either a short or long ranged attack. Often it won't be that important which type of attack it is as long as it's within range, because all of the attack types are resolved in the same way. But there are certain items or effects that resolve only against a specific type of attack, and this is where it's important to declare your attack type. Once an attack has been declared, it is resolved with the roll of 2 dice. Firstly, the defender makes a save roll on a d6. This roll is modified by any positive or negative save tokens that champion currently has. If the final result meets or exceeds that champion's save number, then the attack has no effect. If the save roll is below, then the attack has hit. The attacker then rolls the damage die, and the victim loses that many hit points. The damage die shows a 4, a 6, an 8, or an 8 with a critical hit. For a critical hit, the victim loses 1 on all save rolls for the rest of this round. All attacks are resolved in this way, with a roll of the save die from the defender, and then, if unsuccessful at saving, a roll of the damage die by the attacker. As mentioned before, a lot of the special abilities for the different champions will be attacks, but with greater advantage, such as an attack with a reduced save roll, or an attack where something else can be done afterwards. To complete a champion's activation, you will store any unused battle dice for the next round. First, remove any tokens that are still on that character's card. You cannot keep a token longer than a round, even if you want to. Then, for any battle dice that you did not use, up to a maximum of 2, take a token representing each of the leftover icons. You'll keep these until your next turn and be able to spend them there. Then play passes to that player's next champion, or if all champions have been activated, play passes to the other player in the item phase. There are two other tactics to know about in the arena. Two champions adjacent to each other are said to be in melee combat. When taking movement, a character may freely move while within melee combat and stay one space away. However, moving from within melee combat to out of melee combat can provoke a press the advantage attack from the opponent. For this to occur, the opponent must presently have and then spend a leftover axe icon. Since it's not this character's turn, the character will not have a battle die icon to spend. By spending the token, the opponent then makes a conventional attack of any type desired, melee, short or long range. The moving player will roll to save, and the attacking player will roll for damage. A champion can provoke a press the advantage attack by starting in melee combat and moving away, or by moving through a melee contact region with an enemy. To avoid this, a champion may make a guarded withdrawal. If the champion starts in melee combat, then that champion may spend one boot icon to move one space without provoking a press the advantage attack, before taking the rest of its movement. The other tactical part that can enter the game is the use of companions, and only a few specific characters have access to companions. A champion which has a companion will have one or more specific powers which will allow that companion to be brought into play. When this happens, the companion's mini is placed on the board, as described in the action, and the companion begins with 6 health. The player takes actions for the companion in a special sub-phase called the companion phase. This immediately precedes the activation of that companion's champion. So in this case, the player would announce that Brint is to be activated, but would then activate Grisendel before rolling the battle dice. When activating the companion, like the champion, the companion may first be moved an amount of spaces as shown here, and may then spend icons to resolve one activation. Be aware though, with no battle dice having yet been rolled, the companion only has available any tokens that champion saved from the previous round. As shown here, Grisendel would not be able to attack on this round. But if Brint had stored an axe from the previous round, then Brint could spend the axe for Grisendel to make the Storm of Claws attack. The other benefit is that a champion can deflect attacks to its companion as long as the companion is adjacent. Here, Harold may announce an attack on Brint, and Brint may announce a deflection to Grisendel before rolling the save die. If a companion runs out of hit points, it's removed from the board, but it can be revived again later in the game by once again activating the power that summons it. If a champion ever dies, its companion dies as well. After each player has resolved the turns of all champions, move to the loot phase. Here, each player who has at least one champion within a range of 3 of the loot token gets to take 1 item card. Players may have no more than 5 item cards in hand at a time. Then move the loot token. Each player takes it in turns to roll the arrow die and a d6. Then move the token that many spaces in the direction that the arrow falls, like so. Each player will take this step. If the movement ever takes the token off the board, then wrap the token around to the other side and keep moving until its final destination. If the loot token finishes on a champion's space, then move it to the next unoccupied space. Then proceed to the next round and the next initiative phase. Fray is a battle to the death. When a character runs out of health, it dies and is removed from the board, and when a player is completely out of characters, that player has lost and the opponent wins the game. And that's how to play Fray Champions of the Everyverse. We hope you enjoyed this video.
At the time of filming, Fray Champions of the Everyverse is about to be launched on Kickstarter. So we'll put the link in the description below when it is live so you can check it out. If you enjoyed this video, please help us by hitting that like button and subscribe to the Dice Tower if you haven't already done so.
And finally, if you have any questions, comments or feedback, please write them in the comment section below.
Until next time!